Welcome to Silicon Scoop, where we dive into the latest tech news impacting the world. Join John Irwin and the Startup Coach as they explore the tech news that matters to you. Stay ahead, stay informed, and now on with the show.
Openai just quietly triggered the biggest financial earthquake in tech history by filing a confidential S-1 for $1 trillion IPO. If you thought AI was just an expensive hype cycle, Wall Street is about to find out exactly what ChatGPT's internal recipes actually look like. So Openai on Monday, June 8th in the evening, filed for $1 trillion IPO. Openai has officially confirmed a confidential S-1 filing with the SEC targeting a staggering valuation between $730 billion and $1 trillion. This transitions the ChatGPT creator from a private capped profit entity into a public market juggernaut alongside a massive wave of other 2026 filings, including the SpaceX IPO and the Anthropic IPO. So this forces the world's most secretive AI giant to finally open its books, testing whether generative AI business models can actually survive public market scrutiny and astronomical compute costs. Now, I don't really know if we're going to be opening up the books all that much, and how much will trickle down to us. But, we've been saying this since the start. They're losing billions of dollars every month, and they're slowly starting to make that bleed less and less and less. But when you open up your books, are the consumers and other people filing for the IPO going to be looking at that, or are they going to be looking at long-term value? So what do you think about this, John, and the string of IPOs we've had recently?
Yeah, so I was going to open up with being OpenAI filing confidentially, look at what they're doing. But then I researched that Anthropic did the same thing. So I can't really fault them for that. So I'm not surprised that OpenAI has done this. They're obviously filing shortly after Anthropic. So Anthropic, like I said, confidentially filed for its own IPO. But their recent valuation has gotten closer to OpenAPI's. Now, I get why these companies are filing for IPO, because they require massive data centers. They require lots of hardware, tens of thousands of GPUs. They require specialized networking infrastructure, proprietary development, especially AI chip development, potential power generation agreements, global cloud infrastructure. So, from some of my research, it looked like OpenAI's long-term spending projections exceeded $100 billion just through the remaining of the decade. And much of that was directed towards training increasingly capable API models. So historically, software companies scaled with relatively modest infrastructure costs, but AI companies are becoming essentially utility providers and also semiconductor manufacturers, if we're talking about capital requirements. So I get it. Now, we didn't cover this in Anthropic, but we should talk about this a little bit. Why file confidentially? So it allows them to resolve SEC questions privately. It also tests investor interest, which I don't know why they need to do that, because obviously, there's a lot of investor interest. Also refining financial disclosures and offering structure. So I guess it's a way for them to file an IPO quicker and get to an IPO quicker so that they can resolve all this while they've already committed to filing an IPO, if that makes sense, right? What are your thoughts, Craig? I'm curious to see who does better between Anthropic and OpenAI. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, and they're burning cash. So think of this update like a local charity drag racing team that suddenly is entering a Formula One. They built a mind-blowing rocket ship of a car using the donations and private grants and VC money. But to keep buying the incredible expensive fuel it needs to run every single lap, they now need to sell team ownership to Wall Street, all while promising the fans they won't lose the original non-profit soul. So the S-1 filed was June 9th, 2026. The exact public debut date is still undecided, but it's moving rapidly to align with major regulatory shifts this summer. The share price is to be announced, but OpenAI has explicitly stated a plan to reserve a dedicated portion of the IPO to retail everyday investors, not just mass institution investors. Shares will be publicly traded on major U.S. stock exchange, open to anyone with a standard brokerage account. And we can expect an aggressive push for paid GPT plus features and tighter limits on free tiers over the coming months as OpenAI scrambles to optimize its profit margins before investors audit their ledger. So they'll want to tighten all that up before people start looking at it. We got, the $1 trillion valuation. SpaceX is going for 1.5. Anthropic's going for about $1 trillion. So we'll have to see what the market seems to think. I think the market's AI crazy. I think these are all going to do really well during the day as far as selling, but I don't know what the final price will be. IPOs, let's face it, are crapshoot day of, because they set a price at, hey, $50, and then everybody buys in, and then it goes up to like $90, and then it comes down and ends the day at $35. Or something like that. And it's not always, but a lot of times it ends way lower than you thought, and then it eventually makes it back up. So IPOs are very interesting, and we'll see what kind of regulation is for non-institutional investors, because they usually hold that pretty tight.
Yeah.
Because of the risk, I think, for most anything. Plus, obviously people say the rich get richer and all that, but go ahead.
Yeah, also, sorry, just the one thing that the Ontario Public Teachers Union, was it OpenAI that they invested in, or was it SpaceX? I can't remember, but they invested $200 million, and now it's looking to be valued at $11 billion. So sorry if it's not OpenAI. I thought it was, but now that I say it, I think it's maybe SpaceX. But just speaking about investments, right? I'd like to get in on Anthropics for sure. I feel like what baffles me is that Elon, out of all people, has released his financials compared to OpenAI and Anthropic filing confidentially. So that's kind of back-asswards to me. I would think Elon would file secretively or confidentially at first, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think. Time is going to tell, right? And I just did a quick search on the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan and their Teachers Venture Growth, which is, I guess, investment arm. They hold major investments in Anthropic, Quantexa, DeepL, SpaceX, and Wave.
Huh. So not OpenAI.
Not OpenAI, but Anthropic and SpaceX right now.
Yeah. Huh. That's actually kind of interesting.
All right. So back to this.
Yeah. So my question was, you think, why are these companies filing confidentially and Elon isn't?
I think Elon's had way more scrutiny than most of these other companies, just because of all the crap he's been through for the last few years, and because investors have gone through this, how many times they had to do evaluations, go through court and say, was that valuation worth it? Should I get paid? I think he's just been so more used to the public scrutiny that it's already out there, so it doesn't matter to him. I think these other companies are still learning those lessons, so they're just going to take a little while and some farther ahead or whatnot, but that's why I think he's doing public IPO.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Expect capital raise for this $60 billion or more, placing it among one of the largest IPOs in global history. We're back to OpenAI. Enterprise clients currently make up 40% of the revenue, projected to reach 50-50 parity with consumer lines by the end of 2026. And part of the simultaneous triad, including SpaceX, $1.78 trillion, and Anthropic's $965 billion. So I guess my big problem is there almost $4 trillion in these three companies of value, and will investors just jump all over any one of them or all of them? Or is it too much? Is it meaning that they're going to bank on one or two of them?
Yeah. Well, there's two that obviously are the similar, which is Anthropic and OpenAI. But then SpaceX is different because SpaceX doesn't have just AI. It has hardware. It's got SpaceX. It's got servers. It's got data centers. It's got XAI. It's got what else is under there? Is Tesla under there? No.
If it's not, it will be.
SpaceX, XAI, and there was something else under there. Yeah.
And the new robots, I think the Boring Company, maybe. I'm not, there's other stuff there, but definitely SpaceX is a stronger offering, but that's why it's at 1.78. Like there's hardware, there's other stuff involved.
Starlink, that's what I was thinking of.
They've got the satellite Starlink, yeah. They've also getting paid billions of dollars from Anthropic and other AI companies for their hardware. So Anthropic's paying them $2+ billion a month, and one of the other ones are as well to host their hardware. So that's an interesting take on things. So the core engineering challenge driving the IPO, as you mentioned before, is the compute scaling law. Training and running frontier language models requires exponentially expensive infrastructure. OpenAI is attempting to fund these hardware scaling requirements while reconciling its new frontier governance framework with the EU's AI Act and strict general purpose AI classification rules. So this is the most significant corporate structure transformation since the early 2010s, the wave of high growth, loss-making tech debuts, but an unprecedented twist, navigation the transition from a 501c3 nonprofit foundation ancestry into a public benefit corporation. So we'll have to see how all this goes. There's a lot of money happening in the markets right now. I'm not sure if OpenAI is going to be able to make that jump to enterprise or whether Anthropic's going to completely take on that market. So it's an interesting time.
Yeah.
And yeah, they continue to raise this money because they continue to have all this stuff going on. I've talked about this, the OpenAI, we've talked about this phone that's supposed to be coming out, and that's going to be hugely expensive. I expect it's not going to do well, but that's just me. And Mark Carney last week, I think it was last week, announced its new Canadian sovereign AI program. So as we start to see these, how does that affect these IPOs when Canada's planning to have its own government AI that everybody can use?
Yeah.
So we got a lot to think about here. We might as well wrap this up. This IPO is the ultimate macroeconomic reality check that will definitely prove whether generative AI is self-sustaining economic powerhouse or history's most expensive tech bubble. Are you risking your own cash on OpenAI, Anthropic, or SpaceX stock on day one, or are you sitting on the sidelines until we see actual profit margins? Let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
Tired of drowning in repetitive tasks while your competitors race ahead? Every minute you spend on manual data entry, scheduling, and routine processes is a minute you're not growing your business. Flowgrammer.ca transforms your workflow chaos into seamless automation. We build AI-powered systems that handle your busy work so you can focus on what actually makes you money. Our clients typically save 15+ hours per week and see their productivity double within 60 days. Visit flowgrammer.ca for a free automation audit. That's flowgrammer.ca. Stop working in your business and start working on it.
What do you got going on, John?
Yeah, just plugging away, helping companies with government funding, attending events, probably startup drinks or a Flowgrammer event. How about you, Craig?
Lots of stuff going on. I honestly don't know when this is going out. I have to check. I think it's going to go out in April. But there's all sorts of stuff going on. If you don't know about OpenClaw, it's the latest AI automation agent that's taken the world by storm in 2026. And OpenClaw Toronto chapter just launched. And we have all sorts of events going on. So check out openclawto.com. Our first demo night is April 14th. We have a Builder Cafe on April 10th. We have a bunch of other events. There's updates every day. We've deconstructed the latest 2 betas over the weekend that was launched in OpenClaw and what you should do about them. There's a bunch of articles over there. Go check that out. We're also over at flowgrammer.ca where we do N8N automations. We run the Flowgrammer community and do Builders Hub and connectivity for AI and business automation agents. And for everything else, head over to Toronto Starts, where we hook up startups and investors at our Startup Investor Drinks. We do mentoring, we do workshops, we have a list of investors. There's a whole bunch of content over. You can also book me over there if you want a meeting with me to talk about whatever, help your startup. Check out TorontoStarts.com. But John, if people are looking for non-dilutive funding, where should they go and what is that?
Yeah, non-dilutive funding. We're talking government grants, tax credits. Come find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Right now is shred time, SRNED. But come reach out to me too if you've got a startup, if you've got a company. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and if they have company questions about their startup in general, where do they find you, Craig?
Yeah, find me at TorontoStarts.com. But John, just before we go, something's open right now, and it's closing May 31st. Thank you. Can Export. And what?
Yeah. So
what
if
should
you have
people
at
know
least
about that?
300,000 in revenue in the previous year, and you're looking to expand outside of Canada, reach out to me, and we can put together. We can talk about an application for Can Export.
All the links we talked about will be in the show notes, wherever you're watching this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Silicon Scoop. We hope you enjoyed this episode's dive into the latest tech news. Stay connected with John Irwin and the Startup Coach on LinkedIn and subscribe for more insights and updates. Until next time, stay ahead, stay informed.